Most women get married because they want financial security. Why else would I tie myself down to you, have your children, if you're not going to take care of us?
Because I love you, you love me. We can sleep in a sleeping bag outside. We love each other.
Oh my God.
That's why you get married, right?
No.
If he loves her, he's going to grow with her and love her. The money.
Nobody cares about that.
Then
Nobody
that's
cares.
why the world
I'm
is messed
sorry.
up right now. These women think money is the end all be all.
I'm sure if you had a daughter, you would not want her with a man who has nothing and just loves her.
I'm not going to allow my daughter to marry a guy just because he got some money. So we're going to put it on two scales. I know he got $100 million. I can see it. I know it. Yeah. And I can see and know this man love my daughter with his heart, soul, do whatever for, good, bad, rich, poor. I'm going to go with this side. What the f is money? They both going to die anyway.
All right, guys, Sahel here with another video. Try to make it as brief as possible. Try to put everything in while saying a lot while saying very little. So it dawned on me that since I've been here in Russia, one thing that has been easier for me to do has been for me to actually, I want to say actually, have taqwa, you know, and what taqwa means is having a awareness, a mindfulness of our creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in that awareness, in that mindfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your actions are based off of that awareness, meaning that you wouldn't do anything that would actually, how should I say it, not only put you in a bad predicament, put you in a bad predicament and put you in a bad way, but it would also basically put you in a situation that and I told you so situation type thing. So the one thing about being in the West, which is I didn't realize it until I left. That's the thing. I didn't really understand it because although I thought, you know, I was trying to have fearful awareness of Allah, I kind of, unfortunately, this is very unfortunately, okay, and I'm disclosing this because I'm not trying to be vulnerable. I'm not trying to, how should I say it, use it as a therapy session, okay? I'm not trying to do that. But I kind of, in being in the West, fell into the lesser evil type thing. Fell into, well, I could be doing worse type thing. You understand me? Whereas taqwa is something that should enclose us as a whole in everything we do, right? And I fell into that, you know, I fell into that. I fell into like, well, you know, I'm not smoking, I'm not drinking, I'm guarding myself, this, that, and the fourth. But then, you know, I'm still, for example, how should I say it? You know, maybe having like bad thoughts that may have turned into actions. You know what I mean? Because the thing is about living in the West, it's the mental fortitude you need to deal with the things that you will deal with there. And one of the things that I realized that I was dealing with, that was a constant struggle, that was a constant battle for me, that was a constant spiritual war was the women who would try to emasculate you, and because they wanted these women so badly, the men who had no problem in trying to partake in doing so. Now, in the West, the women are in the workforce because they insist on being boss babes. They insist on being all of these things, okay? They insist on doing it, right? However, most of the time you'll find they're not even in the workforce because they do a good job. They're there because of affirmative action, and they're there because they ask of it. It's not because they do a good job, okay? Here in Russia, I'll give an example, is that when I got my bank account, it was mostly women. However, the women were still women. They were still on what we call the fitra. And what the fitra is your natural disposition, okay? A man's natural disposition is to be masculine, to be a man. A woman's natural disposition is to be feminine and to stay a woman. Russia is a vast territory. Don't get it twisted. I haven't ran into everybody. But where I'm going and where I'm living, between it and the West, it's night and day, okay? I will be going to Dagestan for training, inshallah, down the line. I will be going to Bulgar for a religious retreat as well. And I will be going to Bashkir for a religious retreat as well. Okay, I will be going to these places, inshallah. Now, another thing about the West that I didn't notice until I left is the West was so turned off by religion. The West was so turned off, and the Muslim women in the West as well. They were again turned off by religion as well. Yeah, they were turned off by religion. Okay. The majority of Muslim women in the West, if you told them the rights of a husband, that's out the window. Even if the husband knew the rights of his wife, even if they knew that, it was still out of the window. Many people in the West, they would say that you don't need religion to be a good person. You can just be a good person by default. You don't need it. They said it was in their innate nature to be good people, right? The thing is, as in the first clip that I showed you, right? As the first clip that I showed you, many of them don't want to be good people. That's the whole point. Many of them don't want to be good people. That was one thing I struggled with when I was there, because due to my tribe, due to my place of origin, and due to Islam, and just due to the demeanor that was placed on me by my father, you know, it was always in constant clashing with them, constant clashing with Karen, constant clashing with Brad, constant clashing with Keisha, constant clashing with Marquise even, just constant clashing because, stoicism, silence, contemplation, concern for the well-being of your family and also concern for the well-being of those who matter is very important to me in the West. However, that kind of demeanor was looked down upon. Okay? Now, on to the next part of the video that I want to talk about. There's a well-known hadith for the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. I'll try to wrap this up as soon as I can. There's a well-known hadith of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, where he basically alluded to, if you have no modesty, then do what you want to do. However, this would not fly in Russia. And that's where the conflict lied with me. It's that people would seamlessly do what they want to do, even when it wasn't in their best interest. Okay? People will seamlessly engage and want to be enticed by certain things that you're like, do you realize what you're doing? So this is where the conflict really happened too. Because when you look at the West, right? It's a clash. It's never agreements, okay? Since being here, I've seen more women walking with kids than I have, that I have in the West. And I've seen more of them, say, my husband. I've seen more wedding rings as well, But in the West, it wasn't that way. It just seems like the women's vitriol for the man was just so much, and the man's vitriol for the man who wanted to stay a man was so much that it was unbearable, basically. I'm gonna disclose something that is very, very hard for me to, what I'm about to say, but I'm about to say it anyway. I have to reprogram my mind. I'm going through it right now. Like, I have to literally reprogram my mind to basically have a good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of the simple fact that when I was in the West, it was hard to have a good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of like my plight, because I was a staunch supporter of Palestine, because I am a staunch supporter of Palestine, because I am a staunch supporter of Cuba, because I am a staunch supporter of Venezuela, because I am a staunch supporter of North Korea, because I am a staunch supporter of Alliance of Sahel States, because I am a staunch supporter of a free, self-sufficient Nigeria, because I am a staunch supporter of a free, self-sufficient Sudan. These kind of things would clash with them, although they had no idea about geography, really. It's just that the news presented things a certain way, and this is the way that they took it. The reprogramming I have to do really has to do with the fact that I have to program myself to realize that, hey, you can be yourself now. and there's not going to be no problem with it. Not saying that not saying that I wasn't myself when I was there, but now maybe I can reach a higher level, like maybe now the sky's the limit type thing, in terms of just my thought process and the way I view things and the way I see things, One thing I will say too, and this will probably be the end of it, I'm going to try to keep it brief as possible. When I reflect on being in the West, I can say that man, this is heavy. Man, sorry guys, I'm just kind of thinking a lot. I'm gonna get the words out. It was almost like they were waiting for you to lose it. They were waiting for you to have a breakdown. They were waiting for you to do something, to say, see, I told you so. They were waiting for you to be a stereotype. They were waiting for you to be a statistic, especially when Trump got elected. They were just waiting for that. In fact, they wanted you to do that. They wanted you to be that statistic. They wanted you to be just that. They wanted you to be miserable to a point where they will say, what did we do? You should be thankful that you're here, type thing. And then, when your worth was only looked at based on monetary things and based on social currency, and not based on integrity or based on good character or based on taqwa, then it's almost as if they looked at you as disposable if you didn't have 100K followers, if you didn't have quote unquote loud money. Obviously, I needed quiet money to get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? And I'll need quiet money, of course, which I am building to establish my my station here, my base here, and establish my base back in Africa, inshallah. But to make a long story short, I would never return to America based on the mental strain it put on me, the psychological strain it put on me, and the spiritual strain it put on me. Yes, some people do leave because of women. And that's their prerogative. I get it, bro. Hey, You decide you're going to be a passport bro, and you want to go to Colombia, Brazil, Thailand, um, Dominican Republic, these places. You want to go there for Philippines. You want to go there to, for women. I get it, bro. I get it. I understand. But me, I had to go somewhere because I'm looking at a bigger picture, and only like right now, only maybe I see the vision, but then people, by the grace and the glory of Allah, will catch on, they'll catch on. But yes, to sum up this video, I didn't realize that although I tried to be on my natural disposition in the West, I tried to have taqwa, I have to reprogram my mind. I actually have to reprogram my mind to expect good. I have to do that now. And inshallah, I will do it, and inshallah, good will happen, inshallah. But I just wanted to share that to say that maybe if someone listens to this, perhaps it can be a game changer for your psyche if you decide to leave, if you decide to, because that's just how it is. Anyhow, for this, leave your thoughts, leave your comments, inshallah.